Esther is not available today, so she is absent.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Okay, we call the meeting of the Solvang's Design Review Committee for the month of June to order. Let's start with a roll call, please.
Chair Kavanaugh,
Here?
Member Cully,
Present?
Member Deputy,
Here.
Member Dryden Hess,
Here.
Member Jacobson Bates, absent.
Okay. Have a pledge of allegiance, and since one of our number was actually overseas, I want to make sure that she pledges allegiance to the flag.
I did go to a baseball game last week, so. And your heart, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have, an agenda's been presented to us by the staff. I hope you've had an opportunity to review the materials in the agenda. Are there any comments regarding that?
I'll probably refrain from taking a vote on the agenda from last time. I did watch the meeting, but since I wasn't here and it was a big meeting,
Okay,
I think it's better for you guys to
understand.
make a call on that.
And I know Jennifer was recused for a chunk of the meeting, but that's pretty clear in the record. So I'm certainly open to receive a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And second.
And so all in favor say aye.
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 And
And you,
Motion is 3-1.
yes, 3-1, thank you. We have the, also have the Planning and Building Division current projects list. Oh, wait, we have to approve the minutes, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead there. We have,
This is all part of consent. This is not approval.
okay, so the motion was to approve the consent agenda?
You can re-vote if that was not clear and take it up again.
Okay. Yeah, let's consider the minutes separately. And it was a little complicated because there were really two parts to it. There was just the regular workshop part and then the other part. But let's, so we've approved the agenda. Let's go ahead and take a separate action on approving the minutes of the May 19th, 2022 meeting as presented. Actually, I had a couple questions. It's not a big thing. But on page 5, that says Nancy, architect, is there, was that, I didn't know who that was.
Typically, when the minute clerk has a blank, it would be because we were unable, she did not hear or receive the name during
Okay.
the meeting and was unable to get that afterwards.
Okay, I'm just wondering if that was a inadvertent omission or whatever. The other question I had is just a point of clarification. We've already had it once, and that has to do with the vote regarding the disposition of the proposal of the 3 properties on Laurel and so forth. There was one vote for 3-1 and another vote of 3-1. And I guess and there are 2 members absent. One was in Peru and one had recused herself. But otherwise, all 5 members were, sort of, I just wonder if, is it 3-1-1 or 3-0-1 or is there because right now they just say we have 2
It's
votes,
3-0.
2-1, but it seems to me there ought to be yes, no, and recused.
It should be 3-0, yes.
Okay. that's, again, I just want to make sure it's clear and consistent, that's all, just so there's no ambiguity about it. Those kinds of things can come up and bite you later. That's all I have. With the clarification of that item perhaps, that's all I have on the minutes of the meeting. So with that, I'll take another motion to approve those minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
And I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Abstain?
Abstain, sorry.
Yeah, abstain. Okay, good, thank you.
Passes 3-1.
Okay. Then, now we have the item of the Planning and Building Division current projects. You had an opportunity to look at those. I don't know if you have any comments or questions about them. The number of the projects that we had show up in there.
I don't have any comment.
Okay. I don't think there's any action to be taken on it.
No
It's just
action.
an information
Right.
piece. Okay, great. Yeah, that's it's an excellent summary, and we appreciate having that. Okay, this is a time for public communications. Is there anybody in the room who has any comments they'd like to make on the record at the meeting regarding items that are not on the agenda? Is there anyone in Zoom space that has any comments that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll proceed and go on to the next item, which is the sign approval application of Skinderella Soaps.
I'm gonna recuse myself from this
Yeah.
item.
1608 Copenhagen Drive.
Hello, yes, good night.
It's, go ahead.
Tonight we are asking you to review and approve the proposed hanging sign for Skinderella Soaps and Essentials at 1608 Copenhagen Drive, Suite A. They're proposing a hanging sign to be made from Leicester board marine grade plywood core and will be about 1/2 inch thick. Everything, the size is within the parameters of the sign regulations in the code, the letter height as well. And there aren't any other signs on the building, so they're also within the allowable square footage for this type of sign for the building. And they will have a 7-foot clearance as well. I did speak with the applicants about their signs and the concern about the pink bubbles in the background, due to the fact that the code does talk about adherence to old world colors. So we wanted to present that to y'all as something to consider. Let me see what else. They're not proposing any illumination for this sign.
Okay. Is there someone here from the applicant? Yes. Would you like to? Are you?
No, sorry, I was waiting.
Okay, I'm sorry. No one else is here?
I don't think anyone's here.
Okay, very good. Are there any comments from members of the committee?
A couple, and
Right.
one is, the first is a question, and then is.
Check your mic.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You told me that just 5 minutes ago. Didn't do it. The pink bubbles, those are screen printed on, how are those applied?
I am not sure how they're going to be applied. I just know that there will be, in the background behind the lettering, that will be dimensional.
The lettering's dimensional.
The lettering will be
But
dimensional.
not the bubble,
But not
that's
the
just
bubbles.
printed
Yeah.
in some way, okay. Then my comment was really, I kind of think it looks, because it's not the typical kind of routed out, sign, and it doesn't have a border, it just looks a little cheap and not up to kind of the standards, and that's a very important sort of area right there, tons of traffic, and I would prefer a border. I don't know if that is, that's an opinion, I don't know if that, if without a border it's still, it is fine according to the standards, but that's my comment.
I did speak with the sign maker, and they did say this is why they're proposing that the edge of the sign will be painted like a light pink color, to give it some kind of zhuzh, for lack of a better word. But yes, they're not proposing a border at this point.
All right, I would suggest one
Okay.
and hope that they could, I'm sure the sign guys could route out a, simple border. But again, I don't know if that's, something that we can ask for or not, but I would ask.
The members of the DRC can make recommendations to how the sign should be developed, and so that is an appropriate comment.
Okay, yeah, and I would make it the thickness of the letters themselves, so
Okay.
there's a nice, and so I'd love to see a border on it.
Do you, do you have color preference? Because they may potentially go with a border that is like that light pink color.
I mean, I'd have to kind of see it, but I think that's probably fine. It's better than no border.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, but it's pink because there's also pink bubbles, and you don't like the bubbles. I mean, the bubbles, you wouldn't, I mean, is there a, what is the problem with the bubbles, I guess?
My concern, one, was that it wouldn't necessarily fly in the meeting. But also, also there aren't really a lot of signs that have that type of background. So I'm thinking of like True Addiction, for example, the boutique that has a very simple, I think it's a white background sign with black lettering and a black border. So there are not a lot of signs that have this type of picture in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand that. This is one of those things where it's really very subjective.
Yeah.
In my view, the name of the place is Skinderella. I like bubbles helping explain what that's about. And it's soaps and essentials, and that's great. I guess maybe that's part of the sign also already,
Yes.
but, I don't have a problem, I guess, with the bubbles myself, but, that's another issue. I mean, if my colleagues, really don't like bubbles, then we can go that way. I do think the observation about the border is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
If we have bubbles, it could be pink, but it could also be pink and black or something like that, so it's the combination of those two. I don't have really a lot of problems with it. I think, we want to make sure that the business has an opportunity to attract customers that are interested in its product, and I think that's one of the things they're trying to accomplish with the bubbles. But anyway, that's my comments.
So I actually concur that I'm totally fine with the bubbles. It's their brand, and we shouldn't be telling them how to market their materials, in my view. But I do agree with the border. I think that the border looks more sophisticated, it's more consistent with the signs on the street, and it's pretty much everything that we've approved today. So I would say absolutely with the border, the color should be the branded color, whatever they want, but it should be consistent and it would look more substantial. But I don't think we should be saying to any company, change your brand necessarily, because that's, that's their business. So.
Totally agree, and I think with the border, those bubbles kind of recede.
Yeah, they will.
Anyway,
Yeah,
so,
right.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm waiting for a motion from one of you.
Okay, I'll bring a motion to revise the sign to include a border of their, color choice, and with that revision, it would be approved.
And I'll
Just to either black to match the letters or
Any color they want for the border.
Okay.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
Again,
Yeah, black I think works better than pink.
I agree, yeah.
you guys want black?
I mean, it just finishes it off and.
Yeah, it's more, it pops.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Okay.
I modify my motion to approve as revised with a black border. And do we have a size of that border? You gonna be that specific about it?
Well, it's about, you have it about the thickness of the thick parts of the font.
And I agree, that would be a fine border. I suppose.
Okay, so as thick as the lettering, is the border.
That's the thick
As-
part of the.
Right, so as revised with the thickness, letter thickness, border, black will be approved, is approved.
And I would second that.
Okay.
Okay, great, it's been moved and seconded to approve the proposal as presented with except with the addition of a requirement to have a black border of thickness consistent with the font that they proposed, and improved in other particulars. Okay? All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. And that passes.
Now, motion passes 3-0.
Sorry?
Motion passes 3-0.
Oh, 3-0, okay, thank you. Next item is exterior design review. This reviews the colors, the umbrella exterior lighting of the Craft House at Cork at 420 LSL Road.
I'm gonna also recuse myself from this item.
Okay,
Sorry. Just thought I'd come back and let you all know.
that's fine, yeah, we appreciate it. I mean,
I'm here for
yeah.
you. See ya.
We appreciate it. Okay, you have a report on this, please?
Yes, sir. This is an item to review and approve the proposed colors for the exterior of the building, the umbrellas that are regulated under the sign regulations of the municipal code, and exterior lighting for Craft House at Cork at 420 Alisal Road. Y'all may have noticed, but they recently painted the building to match the Cork Hotel. So it is a white and light gray color combination. They are planning on keeping the brick as it remains, so they will not be painting over that. In regards to the umbrellas, they're wanting to put 10, sorry, let me double check. They're wanting to put 15 gray umbrellas on the front patio and 5 on the private patio between the restaurant and hotel. And the private patio is being considered because you can see the tops of the umbrellas and also lights, even though there's a tall hedge. The umbrellas fit with the code requirements in regards to umbrellas. But we will inform them that they must be maintained in good condition, shall not be torn or faded, and if they add additional umbrellas or change the locations, that they need to come back to the planning division. And then in regards to their exterior lighting, they have, as seen in the photos of the attachments, they have strung string lights on the pergola on the front patio. As it says in the staff report, the planning division is concerned that the proposed string lights are not in compliance with the code. However, there are string lights of this type in other parts of the TRC.
In other parts of the what?
In other parts of the tourist-related commercial or
Oh, okay.
TRC zone.
Yep.
Okay, is anyone here from please?
Hello.
If you'd like to introduce yourself and,
Yep, my name's Brendan Searles. I'm one of the owners at the Craft House at Cork.
okay, and we appreciate your application and your going through the process. And you would, or your representatives have reviewed the city's design standards that are generally required for the businesses in the TRC?
We have, and I guess we should apologize. We were under the impression when we purchased the property that it had previously been approved in accordance with the hotel colors, which is why we were fiscally required to go and paint it. So apologies, and we didn't understand.
Who required you to paint it? Who- who-
Yes, they wanted it the same color as the hotel, so.
I see. Okay. Any questions?
Or comments?
Yeah, well,
Oh, but no.
yeah, anything. Thank you very much. We
Pleasure.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
your application. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Brian?
Well, first the question, because I drove by and I drive by quite often. There's a tower out there as you're looking towards the front of the building. Tower with the copper turrets or whatever. Up between the two metal parts, there's a little space that's kind of a beige color that looks like it didn't get painted for some reason.
Yeah, we're not finished, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not finished.
Oh, yeah, I was just-
Once we figured out that we needed to come get a permit, we said we would stop, and so here we are.
Oh, great, okay.
Okay.
So that'll be, that'll go away.
Okay.
Then my comment is just a general sort of observation as I go by. Because the half timbers are a lighter color, they're lovely. I mean, the whole thing is beautiful.
Thank you.
But there's just really an impression of just an overall really white, really bright kind of feel. I'm wondering if the whole, or parts of the structure here, the pergola, is that what it's called?
Yep.
If those could then reflect the lighter gray in some way to add some interest and, kind of a textural feel to that building as you're looking past the pergola to the structure itself. That would break up some of that really all super hot white look. So that's again just a suggestion. But I think it would be in some way to incorporate that into the pergola because it's such a major part of the impression that you get from the street.
You have any comments?
Yeah.
Please.
I strongly recommend that you go back and you repaint your timbers darker for a complementary darker gray. We have been pretty consistent in this body about that, and while I get the Cork Hotel was done some time ago, the difference to me is that Cork also sits back from the street. And so you don't actually notice it kind of as much, and it's also a little further down the street. What happens with the restaurant is it is, because it's so prominent and it's next to that building that is, basically almost the color of her jacket, it pops in a way that's not good, right? It basically is this white box that then pops out as you're walking past, and it doesn't have that quaintness that it should have. But I don't think it's hard to fix. I think if you tone down the timber, then it's gonna be a little bit more consistent with the design language in that block. That would be my strong recommendation. I think when you brought to mind the debate about the office building across from the water wheel, remember that one? And we kept, kind of struggling with what that timber color would be. And when, I'm really proud, like I walk around and I think about all this stuff that we've said, but it's really starting to show in terms of how different buildings being upgraded are consistently looking really good, actually. And I think this is a huge opportunity for you guys because right now it's a little too bright. I think Brian said it really well. It's kind of so stark that it hurts your eyes a little bit. And it should be a little bit, just if the timbers are toned down, I think it's gonna be really beautiful, and it'll actually bring you in versus kind of, whoa, what is that? So that's my very strong recommendation, actually.
I agree.
And I don't disagree. I think those are good comments, and I think I know what you're looking for, and I think I can make it happen. I actually do feel like it is a little stark. I think we can accomplish what you want with some minor adjustments.
So we're really looking for, to be true, this is TRC is the, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Tourist related. I thought it might stand for traditional.
Yeah.
Because that's the phrase that's used in the city code going back to the 1980s, when the design standards were codified and so forth. And one of the things that they really talked about then, and it was way before Cork was built, but it was the colors, and that it recalled the historic traditional colors of Denmark and Copenhagen. And we've gotten away from that. It's easy to do white. White's more modern, more flashy. We don't want it to look modern. and that's one thing I think that we feel we've been charged with implementing those design standards, and not that white is verboten, but there has to be some variations, and it should be based on an understanding of what those colors are in Denmark in the historic traditional sense. And I think that's something I think we have to work hard all the time, because a lot of people want their place to look brand new and so forth. But the thing that gets those tourists in your door, and I've been at your place and it's terrific. I love what you've set up and started there. It's terrific. You really, it's clear you mean business, and that's great. You're serious about it and serious about succeeding, and you will. But it's just the thing that draws all those people to the town is the efforts to make it look traditional, historic Denmark. I mean, and that's, we want to make sure that particularly prime locations, like yours is, fantastic building, fantastic business there, it's important that we're all proud to have it there, ought to be a leader in that instead of an exception. Right now, it's an exception, and that's, so we can work with you on that. The other thing that really is part of that, it's very explicit in the code. It was cited 11-12-18, exterior area lighting. Exterior lighting shall be architecturally compatible with the character of the city and its neighborhoods in scale with pedestrians and architecture. Old world lantern style fixtures shall be used in the village area as approved by the Design Review Committee, except when outside agencies have jurisdiction like Caltrans. And I know, our planning consultants have recognized that the string lights are there and they work and so forth, but this is Solvang, and it's not it's supposed to be traditional Danish, not traditional Italian. And that's what the string lights, I mean, and they're all over town, but I'm not sure that's a good reason to say. So let's repeal the section in the code, or say that that's required. Now, one of the issues around that, it's probably around the string lights too, that has to do with the
Saber
dark sky.
cars.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the dark sky issue, and that's something that's part of the expectations as well, that we do things in a way that don't reduce our black sky requirements, or whatever, dark sky requirements. So I really like what you've done there overall. I think there are some, we'd really like to have a review that looks at taking that into account, looking at those requirements in the design, and come up with something that makes it look like it's a little bit more, not modern, but more traditional. but you have a fabulous structure there, and it sets itself apart. You have a great, it's in the outside patio area. I know you have live music, and it's a great place for that. It's a terrific place for it. But I have trouble myself supporting the proposal that's been presented for those kind of limited reasons. But I think they ought to look at alternatives for the lighting, frankly, if it's possible, or a schedule to move toward those. And looking at more color variation, more that are more traditional. White's not excluded from that, but and it could be certainly part of it, but it shouldn't be exclusively, particularly where you have actually a grate that what do you call it, the cupola, or whatever has the copper roof on there. What a great thing to really sell the Danish traditional motif.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Anyway,
I think the comments are valid. I mean, I think the one thing I would refer to is, I think with the, people really want to be outside now, and I think one of the things that we should be careful of is making sure that we can have people be outside safely. And so I think having lighting outside and making sure that we have adequate lighting, and it's sometimes difficult to do that unless you supplement what is, and that's something that we did inherit, that was there, so that was part of it.
exactly, I appreciate that.
And so we did not add that, and I think obviously it was
Fair
put
enough.
for a reason. The color comments are valid, we will address that, and we will, I think you're exactly right, I think it is a little stark. And so I'll go ahead and we'll make a modification to that, and I would say, all in all, those comments are fair.
Okay, that's terrific, because I think we won't necessarily take action right now, but I think if that's okay, I mean, I think you could, we're gonna be looking.
We'll paint it, and
Okay.
if we have to do a further review in 30
Okay.
days, we'll come back in 30 days and we'll take some photos and we'll make sure we get it, and we'll paint it till you liked it, how about that, okay?
I would recommend that you resubmit some chips and then we can leave it to staff to agree, since they know kind of the range of the accent colors that we're happy with. That'd be faster, I think, than you painting and us saying, oh gosh, we really don't like it again. That would be kind of frustrating for you, I think.
So if I may make a
Please.
suggestion?
Yeah.
I mean,
You take it away.
previously, when we've had a business that's trying to move forward,
Yeah.
We've established a subcommittee
Yep.
and met with them outside with the chips and come up with some options.
I'm happy to
If
be
the
available.
subcommittee
Yeah.
is amenable, then we can move forward. Otherwise, yes, it would have to come back at the next.
I'm okay with that. I
meeting in
want to
July.
make sure that they do not, get held up on establishing
If
what's
we
going to be a
could do it
successful,
next
very
week,
successful.
That'd be great.
I'd be
Yeah,
happy
that'd
to
be
do it
great.
next week.
I would too.
Okay,
if
let's
we
do
want
it.
to
Okay,
Yeah.
I think we have a
Yeah.
committee
And
just
just
formed.
the subcommittee
Yeah.
recommendation would have to come back to DRC for ratification.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do have a public comment on.
Yes, I see that. We have one, anything else? Thank you, Dan.
Good.
You have
Thank
no
you all.
more. I
Appreciate
appreciate
your
it.
time.
We have somebody online who has some comments that he may benefit from as well. Susan,
My turn, okay. Can you hear me?
yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. I'm Susan Bach, representing the Save Our Stars Committee of Blue Watch. Our goal generally is to preserve our dark nighttime skies. Specifically, we aim to help San Andres Valley residents and businesses achieve and maintain outdoor lighting which prevents light pollution, minimizes glare, and light trespass, which is detrimental to humans, animals, and even insects. Tonight, I'd like to suggest some alternative lighting options for the craft house at the port, located at 420 Alisal Road, Solvang, near agenda item 4C. The craft house has already installed string lights which are not compliant with Solvang's exterior lighting ordinance. I hear now that they were already there, but they still are not in compliance. We've given you pictures of string lighting which adhere to Solvang's code, which we feel are better choices than the current lights which are in violation. There are also spotlights on the lower building roof. If you look at agenda packet page 35, you can see these, as far as I can see, there are two sets of these spotlights. And these two areas which are up into the night sky, unnecessarily wasting energy and causing light pollution. These lights are also in violation of Solomon's codes and lighting ordinance. We request that they be removed. We hope the material we've given you will prove helpful to the DRC, planning staff, and the project applicant. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Susan. We appreciate your comments. They're always helpful to us, and we will take those under consideration. I'll ask that the special subcommittee that has been established to work with the applicant on this matter review that matter and include a resolution of that in their report back to the committee. Understood?
Yep.
Okay, I think there's no action to be taken. I think we've just set up a committee and we'll proceed. And again, Susan, thank you for your comments. And thank you for your willingness to work with us on this. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go back to work.
Okay. The next, is there anything, are we okay moving on to the next item? Okay. Next item, development plan review review the architecture, color, materials, exterior lighting, and landscaping for 3 proposed 2-story single-family dwellings at 1621 Fur Avenue. Okay, please.
Good evening, Lori Tamura with the Planning Division. We're here tonight to present the 1621 Fir Avenue project. This involves 3 small 2-story units. This particular site previously had 3 units on it. Those have been demolished, and these are the replacement units for the site. They include all 3 units are 1-bedroom, small units stacked on top of the garage, that each one of them have 2-car garage. The design of the project is what we would refer to as modern architecture, with the elements being more toned down with their paint colors, and the decking that would be along the top portion of the 2nd story, as well as the windows being very much a prominent feature of the project, of the units. We have provided within there the package, the architectural style. There's also landscaping plans shown. These units pretty much sit on one lot. They're kind of flow together, and there's no fencing in between them. There's little courtyard areas and a pretty substantial landscaping in the front. The lighting again is shown mainly around the garage and the entry areas with dark sky compliant lighting. And we're here tonight to recommend that the DRC support this project, as it will be going to the Planning Commission for final review and approval for a development plan process.
When will it be going to the design, or to the planning committee?
Subject to your actions
Commission,
tonight,
sorry.
we would like to take it to the July Planning
Okay.
Commission meeting.
Okay.
This is a small project, and this is a great way to complete that section of town.
Okay. And this is a DR20, so that's like very dense, I guess, for single-family houses. They're,
The ordinance, the DR20 is 20 units per acre,
yeah.
and this site is,
No, it's a little over a couple thousand feet per lot, I guess, or sub-lot, I guess.
and in this case, they're not asking to subdivide the lots.
Yeah,
They're
there's
basically.
gonna be 3 on this one lot, on this lot.
Correct, they're basically detached apartment units.
And they're not rentals, or, they're single-family homes,
No, they're,
not like the Airbnb.
They are rentals.
Not vacation rentals, not short
Oh,
term rentals.
okay.
long
yeah,
term.
no, they are not vacation rentals, we don't allow that in the DRC zone. These are rental units.
Okay.
They're not for sale. They haven't
Long-term.
condoized them or proposed them on separate lots.
What is the standard of design applicable to these proposed buildings?
There is no architectural style in the DRC zone, or in the DR zone. There is, again, the policies and the findings that you make, that it's compatible with the surrounding neighborhood or surrounding.
So it's
uses.
not subject to historical, traditional Danish design?
No.
Okay, I want the record to show that.
Yes.
Because these are obviously not, and the report says that it's modern, no question about it. It's a modern look. They're attractive, but they are right across the street from the
park.
The park building.
Yeah, the park building. Yeah.
And one of the considerations by staff was that, again, these are smaller units. They will be shielded. They do have a nice face. The two that are facing right onto First Street are very detailed. The one that is rotated on its side, we've asked them to add more windows to it in the garage area, so it wasn't just a blank wall. So it has more details. And the nice thing about the one that's rotated is that the stairwell is on the backside as you go up. So it actually works pretty well to have the stairway on the backside of it, just because of the added details. So the applicant worked with us on configuration. We actually spent quite a bit of time trying to make sure that the driveways, the parking, the layout worked for this small site.
I have a question clarifying, on the units that were there on that site before, were they two-story?
No.
So, the surrounding buildings that back up to that property, it looks to me, I didn't get a chance to go down there on that extra, on the other side. Are those apartments or are they homes?
The
On the
units
flip
on the
side,
backside,
yeah.
those are apartments,
They're
and those are
apartments.
two-story.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I can see they're two-story, but I didn't know if they were two-story homes or two-story apartments.
Right, and the interesting thing is, when you look at that slant roof
Yeah.
of those units, you have a much less face on the two units that are facing onto Fir, dominance on that side between those two buildings.
Is anyone here to representing the group? All of you, okay.
And there's someone on Zoom as well who we've been working with.
Okay.
So, I can start. So, I do think compatibility with the neighborhood is really important too. And to me, maybe I'm just ultra sensitive because I grew up in Los Angeles. But it feels to me like it's a very LA trendy look right now that you're supplanting here. And while it's actually well done, actually very well done, it doesn't feel like Solvang. It doesn't feel like our neighborhoods here. It feels like LA. And so I'm not suggesting architecturally that we change it, but that dark gray painting treatment is just everywhere right now down there, okay? And I think it's just a matter of Tony just kind of being a little bit more sensitive to the neighborhood and what's around it. Because I do actually think, and it's in my neighborhood down there, because I still retain that home. And the neighbors who have painted their homes those colors are fading very fast in the sun and not looking very good. Within about 2 years it's been since this took off down there, and it's not looking great. And I would just say, one, it's trendy, and it's that fashion's gonna fade. And two, it doesn't feel like anything around us. And I think we need to be sensitive to that it kind of looks like, oh, oh, an LA house. I don't know that we think that would be great, personally.
Yeah, it's kind of, oh, sorry.
No, please.
It's kind of a tough thing, because, that street, I wouldn't list as being, there's a lot of special architectural stuff going on, right? Like, I agree that in looking at that, it's gonna look far different than the other structures I'm with you, I think it looks awesome. I wouldn't be opposed to a different paint color though, I agree, or even maybe just breaking up the paint color. The garage door helps for sure, sorry. And, you know, I don't know if that's really a consideration. I mean, the DR 20 zone doesn't really have any specifics on colors or anything like that. And so I don't know if that really is, you know, under our scope or not, but.
Well, I think it's under our scope. I do think it's, we're not applying, you know, a Danish, traditional Danish
Right.
here. I think it's, that said, I think, and this is clearly a long way from anything like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think the colors may help, a variety of colors even.
Do you have a thought on the different color that you, in your head, like?
Honestly, as long as it's not that trend, I think I'd be fine with it. I just think that trend is so overdone.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like you're gonna be able to say what year it was done. That's how trendy it is, right? And I think that great design, it's classic and it holds the test of time. And this thing that's happening right now with this, I get it, I get why it happened, and I get where it started, which I believe was actually in the Midwest, technically. But it just doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel right, and especially doesn't feel right there, where you'll be able to see it through the driveway, past Park, right? And you'll notice it. So I think it's just like, to me, it's just, it could be, something like that could be absolutely up on a hill and you'd see it in a vista and it'd be like, oh, that's an interesting architectural piece, maybe, okay. But I'd still probably have the issue with the paint treatment. I just think it's overdone and it just doesn't.
Are you Mr. Seacat or is that?
Me?
Yes.
I'm Cannell. I own the park
Okay.
and I own that building. And I
Great.
disagree with you 100%.
Yeah, would you please?
I respect that you
Yeah.
disagree.
Let me Can I talk?
Sure, please,
Sure.
introduce yourself and we'd like to know.
Connie Monet, and I've been working on this project with the architect. And next door is just a little faded old garage, and on the other side of this building is a little cottage that's been redone. I don't know what color it's gonna be, but it's a cottage. And then 2 doors down is Sanionets. It's stucco, tan, star on it. So you have a whole eclectic thing going on. I helped choose all the colors of the park building, and so we tried to do this gray because they're white with gray, and because you'd see it through there. I mean, obviously we can tone down the colors if they bother you. I tried to do the little cottage next to the park building in gray with white, but you didn't want that gray either.
Yeah.
So,
We appreciate it not being white.
because it was in between the old Mandarin Touch, which is white, and the park building, which was white, so I tried to do that, the opposite gray with white trim,
Okay.
and that didn't fly, so now it's blue with white trim. So once that building gets redone, it will also kind of hide this one because it's gonna be blue. So, I mean, it is a very eclectic neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so we were just trying to improve it. The buildings we tore down were disgusting. Rats ran out of one of them.
Right. We appreciate that very
I
much.
think the
Yeah.
architecture is
We think
absolutely
it-
beautiful.
I agree.
The detailing is beautiful.
I agree.
I just have an issue with the dark gray trend. That's just my opinion.
I think it's amazing you have just over 6,000 square feet. You have, you know. what-
Yeah, it's a narrow lot, so it's
Yeah.
very difficult to.
Yeah, but you have 3 living units
Yes.
there.
We're not sad
Did
to
you
see
want
that
to
develop.
add something, please?
Obviously, I've been here before. So I'm the land queen, the Senate does. I think you get so tied up with the specifics of one project but we have several projects. The park building and the cottage next door were designed because it was too difficult to make any changes to the existing structures. Here we have a project that we demolished the existing structures because they just weren't habitable. The design on these 3 units match and are consistent with the park building, and the contrast works. You cannot look at this specific building individually without looking at the whole project that we did.
Right.
You lose sight of what the goal is. The goal is to create something unique, exciting, and different. We've done that with the park building. Let us finish with the fur building. I'm looking to get this thing off the ground. I'm not leaving here until I have an approval. If I don't get an approval, then deny me, and we'll go to city council and we'll argue there. But I'm not gonna sit here and listen to what you want and disregard what we are trying to achieve, because I think what we are trying to achieve is a lot better than what you ever had.
Yeah, we understand that.
Well, then why don't you?
Well, I
make the
mean, I think
decision-
it's important, we have responsibilities to make sure that, by the city council, to be sure that it's consistent with the city codes.
Is there anything that's not consistent?
Are you talking about the park building or
I'm
these
talking
3?
about my
The park building might be another conversation, but the 3, no, I don't think there's anything that
Park
I
building
know.
isn't a conversation
The only
because
issue
it's
is there's a
done.
reaction about the color. That's the only, I've
I
only
think
heard
it's just-
compliments about the design.
just
I
a-
want
just a dis-
an approval or a denial.
Right.
It's just the discussion that we're, part of this is as a collaborative discussion that we're gonna have on the color. The question, I think, here is just whether or not it fits in with the surrounding buildings. That's all we're just trying to discern and how we feel about it is. So this is part of our process of having these discussions. Our goal is to get you to an approval. That's what we want too, because we really don't want you to have to come back here. We don't wanna have to see you again.
I don't wanna come back here.
Yeah, I don't
because
blame you. I don't blame you.
I've had that building for
But-
3 years.
Yeah.
It
But-
can't, and, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, I was gonna say, this is part of the collaborative process that we have in interpreting the code and trying to, enforce it, that's what we're charged with. So we have to ask these questions, doesn't mean that we're always gonna agree on together or with you, and we're gonna try to come to the best resolution. So Brian, I was just curious what your thoughts were.
Well, my thoughts are that, we've worked with you on other things, and I think we're very thoughtful, and we're considerate, and we look at things like, is this gonna disrupt their business? And, we really consider, these projects very carefully. We volunteer to be here, and all of us have a lot of experience in architecture, signage, real estate. And to have someone come in and say, I'm not leaving here without an approval, and not say, well, let's work together
We have been working with you
on this.
all along, yes.
Yeah, with
Okay.
with the staff.
I mean, you just basically said that we have this attitude, it's either our way or no way.
It seems like that.
That's not the case.
It
Ask
seems
your
like
staff.
at this moment.
We have been working together.
Yeah, I
If
agree.
that's not the case, then tell me, but we have been
No, I
working
think
together.
what we're asking though is
Now
for
we
you to
get this
understand.
point, and I'm hearing people that are disgruntled.
They're
It's
not
not-
disgruntled. I think we're trying to make suggestions about.
You don't like the color, that's being.
Right, and you duly noted that, and, you're gonna, I don't see that there's gonna be any changing in any kind of design or anything like that. I think we're basically providing you with some observations.
Are
we
you
have
telling
about
me
the
that you
color.
want a color change, and I have to come back here again to get the approval of the color?
We haven't
No.
made a decision on that
There's
yet.
not-
I think one thing to note is that we don't have these conversations outside of this public setting. That's the idea of this. So part of what you're experiencing is us just sort of coming to a decision together collaboratively once again. So, you're sort of seeing the back process, which involves sometimes someone saying, I don't like it, someone else saying, hey, I think it's okay, and we come to a resolution. That's just really that is the process. Same way the city council comes to their decisions in any other public entity. So, that's really what you're sort of just hearing the back of it. I guess if we had the opportunity to sit in a room together and discuss all this before you came and have a decision, then it might feel different to you, But I think, I don't know if
Isn't
anybody
this
has
why-
a suggestion.
Go ahead.
It's his frustration because this has gone on for a long time and time is money.
Right.
And you're sitting on a land that you're paying for and the meantime, lumber went up in price and hopefully it goes back down. So we'd like to get it approved, and
Right.
if we have to have a subcommittee for the color like you did for Darkins or whatever the name of his brewery is, maybe we can do that.
I'm gonna just, I don't know if you have anything else to say.
No.
Well, before you make any motion, though, let's just make sure there's no more other comments. I appreciate what you said. I think the I don't think there's, I think we've shared with you, some of us have shared viewpoints regarding the color, but, no one suggested yet we form a subcommittee or anything like that. I'd like to get any other comments that are either in the room or in the Zoom space.
This is our architect, so.
Okay, that's your architect, okay.
I kind of preempted.
Nice job on the design, Mr. Architect. Thank you for your,
Actually, thank you, I'm the landscape
oh,
architect.
you're the landscape architect, okay.
We can always just talk about the plant material and the intention of the garden at the property if you'd like for a moment. If you'd like to flip to the landscape plan.
Yeah.
Just real quickly, talk a little bit about that concept. What we were trying to do is enhance the lifestyle of the future residents by creating an environment that's reflective of the architecture and complementary to the neighborhood. We're hoping to include screening and privacy screening, visual screening, as well as a usable outdoor space. So the elements that we are including in the design are simply evergreen screening trees, evergreen hedges between the residences, accent trees, accent shrubs, and a patio that is where we're using paving. The paving material is permeable decomposed granite, stabilized decomposed granite. In the future planting and irrigation plans will conform to the city's and the state of California's goals for water conservation. In addition, I forgot one thing, is the perimeter fencing to enclose the back of the, and create a boundary around the back of the property. There's a multitude of fences existing right now. It's about 6 feet high, and it will be painted to match whatever color we end up with. And that concludes my presentation.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it's a nice.
It's a nice landscape design and a nice set of different flora.
Oh, and can I just ask, you mentioned sort of, I think you mentioned kind of drought tolerant kind of,
Yeah.
and these are
That's
those
the
kind of
aim,
plants?
yes.
Okay.
And it's, we are working on plant material that's specific to the site because we do want additional screening for privacy and to enhance the views from and to the property.
Thank you.
Okay. No other comments. I see the architect is available, but I'm not sure if it's necessary to, I think we've gotten a good background of the choices that were made to get to the design that we have in front of us. And again, I think the design, the landscape architecture is excellent. And it is outside the TRC for purposes of complying with the traditional historic Danish look. Or it's outside the TRC, but in the DR20 area, it is outside that. So I'm, knowing that I understand that the owner and the people that he's working with have heard the concerns already expressed by us regarding the colors, and I don't know if you think it's necessary to do anything special other than just appreciate that they've noted.
I was just gonna make a motion to accept it as it's presented. You've heard the concerns about the color, and if you wanted to take it upon yourselves to come up with something different, I think it does pretty much fall under what is required by the code. And while it's true that it doesn't necessarily match the surrounding buildings, I'm not sure the surrounding buildings, meaning the ones on the backside, are necessarily anything that we want to match to anyway. So that would be my motion.
Okay, is there a second?
So the motion is just to approve it, just like this. You want to second it? Okay. And I don't need,
That's okay, you don't have to accept my motion.
Is there another motion someone wants to make?
I would make the motion to work with them as a subcommittee and try to come up with a solution that makes you happy and can be done quickly. I would do that. I think there's a lot of different options and that it wouldn't take that much and we wouldn't hold them up. That's the motion I would make.
I would second that motion.
There's a motion and a second.
It's motion and second, yes, so that will, it's ripe for a vote, and we'll have that now. All in favor, say aye.
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 Nay for me.
It's nay for me. Yeah, because I think that, you know, move ahead. I don't know the best way to advance it. I appreciate the need to.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Before you go any further?
Okay?
I would love,
Yeah, please get on the microphone so we can.
I would love to walk away with an approval from all of you. And I will, if you approve this with the understanding that we will work with you before we submit in July again for approval, to change the colors so that would be acceptable, I would be amenable to that.
Okay, and that's essentially what her
Well,
motion
right,
is.
but I'm trying to accelerate the process so I don't have to come
Okay.
back.
Okay, well, and I think you voiced your good faith effort to work with us to get to a point of mutual acceptance.
Correct.
Okay,
I mean, the color is gonna cost the color, whether, it's gonna cost the same whether it's blue, red, or white.
okay,
So,
very good.
I don't mind,
I appreciate those comments.
okay.
Would you make that motion again?
So I'm raising a motion to work with the applicant to resolve the paint selection prior to submission to the planning commission?
So, Lori,
Oh.
I think what the applicant was saying was approving everything except for the color, is what I understood. And then
Okay.
coming back with the
Okay.
color so that it can move to the planning commission. is
Okay,
what they're
right,
trying to
okay,
do.
so then the motion is to approve the submission with the exception of the paint color, which will be determined by a subcommittee in working with the applicant in the near future.
And do you and Brian want to be the subcommittee? Or do we need to determine that?
You
Yeah,
would
we
need
need-
to determine that.
I would like to be part of the subcommittee.
Based on, thank you for your
Yeah.
last, plea to us, and I appreciate that. So I will be on it also.
So I'll second that.
I have
Oh.
a question, what happens when it's 2 and 2?
We haven't,
It doesn't
that was a new motion. That was a new motion that's just been made and seconded, so we're gonna take a vote on that right now.
The original motion failed.
Okay, when it's 2 to 2, it's,
That was, we need 3.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, understand the motion? Do we understand the motion, I think? We have a committee. And, yeah, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0.
Okay.
Thank
So, if I could just say a couple of things on
Please.
on this particular project. I understand the applicant's urgency to move forward with this, but please know that this application was submitted in February. We did go through a round of incomplete review, making recommendations to the project. It was called complete on May 19th. It's before your committee in June, and we're planning on going to the meeting in July. So this has been, as for our process, fast-tracked. And so if there is an effort for the paint colors to be resolved between now and July, that would pretty much close the record for the planning commission to review and approve the project.
It's fine with me, sure.
Okay?
I agree, I want it done quick.
And
So-
that's gonna be possible with your schedules and so forth.
Yes. I
So
will
just
make- I will make the
to,
time.
to clarify, your subcommittee's decisions or are recommendations, and they have to come back to DRC for ratification.
Okay.
When is the next planning commission meeting?
July 5th.
And the next DRC is not until after, so it can't actually be ratified until the next DRC meeting.
Unless we make it a condition, okay, so, based on the ordinance that has been adopted, the DRC's recommendations, a full package that then goes to the planning commission. The planning commission is the final decision maker.
It-
So,
Let me ask this, if the committee, and the applicants come up with an agreeable color, can they get approval from the, planning commission, and then it would just be a matter of sort of paperwork for us
I
to
think
say
it would be
that's.
part of what's submitted. Is that?
I mean, it won't hold up the planning commission's decision.
So I think what I'm hearing from the applicant is wanting to move with the majority of the project so that the lumber materials don't go up. I think they're willing to come back and do another round of
Okay.
reviews for the colors, so we can just probably separate those two.
Separate those.
And, you know, we can come back to the plan commission with the colors again if need be,
And inform the
however.
planning commission of that.
Right.
So
Correct.
that's, okay. Understood?
so we'll make it a condition of approval that they come back to you and come back,
On the color,
yes,
on the color, everything else is approved.
yes.
Yes.
And to, just to clarify, so they're gonna show us new colors, we're not gonna pick them, they're gonna show us.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
that's great. Okay.
Okay.
So ideally, when it comes back, you guys will have worked with them, everybody will have hopefully agreed on something, and then the rest of us will just ratify that by
Yeah.
voting.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good, that's right. Yeah,
I think that's nice.
and you will have the approval of the project from the planning commission also at that point.
Whether or
Okay,
not.
great, I appreciate your comments as well, thank you very much for
Thank
helping
you.
clarify that, and we appreciate that. So I think we've had that motion, I think we've disposed of that item. for
Correct,
now.
yes.
I think so.
Okay,
Items
great,
closed.
thank you all.
Thank you guys for,
Yeah, thank you all for,
for your
thank you.
patience.
Good luck on the project, it's terrific, it's a nice improvement
It
above
goes with the park building.
over what was there.
Yeah.
It does go with the park.
It'll be a nice addition, there's no doubt.
Thank you.
Okay, any other miscellaneous items on the, to bring up? Okay, one thing that I want to talk about, you don't have to recuse yourself, but it has to do with the issue of the agreement or the discussions regarding the third lot. Okay, and as I understand it, that hasn't been resolved yet. The sense I had, I think it actually is in the minutes this way, and please correct me if I'm in error about this, that the decision was that there would be an attempt to resolve between the developer and you, and your husband, the issue. It seems to me, and that would be, we would, somehow that would be brought back, and my understanding was that the city manager was gonna review or approve it. I think that ought to be reviewed by the committee, I think ratified by the committee, rather than something else, but, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that it would be within the jurisdiction of the DRC to bring the item back. So based on your comment, we'll continue to work with the architect and the property owner and return that to DRC.
I just think it's
so
part of
the
our
future-
responsibility, that's all. I mean, that's, rather than delegate it out to, delegate it out, but.
Okay.
And I think that's, I'm looking forward to it being, resolved to everyone's mutual satisfaction. Are there any other committee member comments about anything?
Nope.
Are there any city staff comments?
So for the planning commission meeting coming up, we are, FER was on the agenda, and we'll work towards that and work with your subcommittee to get some direction. The other project, I'm sorry, also I drew a blank, for the planning commission.
Mostly city of solving items,
Okay.
like the CIP budget.
Okay. So we're also looking at a review of the capital plan for the city of Santa Maria infrastructure improvements. So those are the items.
City of Solon.
We'll be going. Then next month, at this point, we have a very light agenda. And if you want to go over those items.
We have the project at 1714 Mission Drive, which you saw last meeting with Ed St. George. Potentially also the old lumberyard project at 1783. A change to the sign for Chomp, and convo potentially about sign regulations and flags.
Okay, yeah, and I understood earlier that there was going to be a review of the St. George lumberyard project, and then that was delayed, that's been put off, and I appreciate that. It looked like there was a for sale sign on that St. George property, the bank.
I am not aware of such
I don't think
sign.
the sign ever came down.
Correct.
Okay, that probably explains it, because I
Right, yeah.
thought,
I
you know, I
think the
probably
sign
never
is
paid any
remained.
attention, but then I'm thinking, wait, is that,
No,
Yeah, someone asked me about that.
somebody
the other
back
day.
up, you
it
know?
wasn't removed.
Yeah,
Okay, never was removed, that.
everything's for sale, I guess. isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I appreciate everybody's patience, and we did it more quickly than we did last time.
Yay.
You really missed it.
I didn't miss it, I got to see it on TV.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
I just got to bring popcorn along.
Okay.
We should have that here.
With that, I will, absent in any other reason to continue talking, I'm going to adjourn this meeting and tell everyone to, we'll see you next month. And 4th of July parade, right? Monday.
That's right, Monday, 4th of July.
Okay.
Great.
And also Pride Parade.
Pride
Next
Parade.
weekend, next Saturday.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's an
Good.
important thing to
That's
support.
right.
I mean,
Cool.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will unfortunately be out of town again, but, so I'm counting on all of you.
We'll be there.
Okay, great.